All right, joining us now is Democratic Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Tell me if I'm wrong. First of all, Congressman, always good to have you.
Good to see you.
So, gun control, any type of meaningful legislation, is it just the reality that it will only exist at the state level? After Newtown, you saw Connecticut moved. The governor here in New York moved. Florida, now we see it. South Carolina, we saw it. When they get hit, they act. Is that the reality? At the federal level, you guys won't be able to get it done?
I certainly hope we're able to do something. I've been in Congress now for less than 3 terms, and we've gone from the mass shooting in Connecticut to the mass shooting in Charleston, the mass shooting in Charleston at a church to the mass shooting at a workplace in San Bernardino, California, from San Bernardino, California to a mass shooting at a concert in Las Vegas, a mass shooting at a concert in Las Vegas to another church in Texas, and now, of course, from the church in Texas shooting last November now to a school shooting in Florida. And there's been no real semblance of activity. Nothing but moments of silence, empty promises to try to address the situation in some way, shape, or form, and then nothing happens on the floor of the House of Representatives or the United States Senate. And so Americans can reasonably ask the question, what is the problem? Is the issue that so many members of the House and the Senate are funded by the NRA such that they refuse to act to protect the safety and well-being of the American people?
But the NRA, look, they definitely dump money on campaigns, but they're not alone in that. The voters vote on that issue. If you're a Second Amendment voter, with whatever your notion of what that means, you vote in a way that people who right now are calling for change don't. And I was monitoring that conversation, okay, what was going on. And Jack Kingston, you know, he makes his points. Monitoring the thread, when Australia is mentioned, that's what makes people afraid. Oh, my, they're going to take our guns, just like in Australia. Just said it. Oh, and you, assault rifles. People don't even know what these weapons are. We never get past that point. And it makes me wonder if you want to get past that point, you can't be just about guns. Access to weapons is definitely an issue. Mental health identification of people who are suicidal risk, who create these school shootings, that's an issue. How safe the schools are, which may well mean having more guns in schools, will be part of that conversation. Will Democrats accept all those components in the name of change?
Well, I think it's important to have a comprehensive conversation and discussion and put everything on the table and then have a reasonable debate about these issues. We haven't been able to even get a vote.
That is true. No leadership in Congress, to my knowledge, you tell me if you're hearing differently off cameras, where they have said, what can we do to stop the school shootings? Let's start there, which is really what these kids are asking you to do. Down in Florida. They're not coming up with specific proposals. That's not their job. They're lucky they're alive. They're saying you have to do something. Is this a tipping point?
I hope so, particularly because of the involvement of these young people who have spoken up in such a authentic and compelling fashion. And all of us should be able to see them and see our children through their voices and want to act to try to protect them and everyone else across the United States of America who wakes up, goes to school, and shouldn't have to worry about being the victim of a mass shooting and never making it home. Now, there are comprehensive, reasonable pieces of bipartisan legislation, Chris, that, as you know, we can consider in Congress. Comprehensive background checks has the support of Democrats and Republicans, people on the left,
everybody
on the right,
agreed on a
and
system
gun owners.
That doesn't work. And why won't they fix that system and get you into the politics of the slippery slope? But everybody agreed, including responsible gun owners. You know, they want people to have background checks. That system isn't working well enough. We'll see if they fix it. Let me ask you about something else while I have you. The special counsel, we have reporting that says they're going to look into an expanded view of Jared Kushner, obviously the president's son-in-law, senior advisor, into whether or not during the transition period he was trying to work money for his family's deals. Do you believe in that type of questioning?
Well, I certainly think that we need to make sure that we have the most ethical government possible for the people of the United States of America. And I recall the president saying he wanted to come to Washington to drain the swamp. How can you drain the swamp when your own senior policy advisor seems to have been engaging in private sector dealings to benefit his own family or his own real estate business connected to a project that may drown the family business in debt? So I think that it is appropriate, but we also have to stay focused here on what the problem is. It seems that the Trump campaign conspired with Russian spies to sell out our democracy, and now you have members closely affiliated with the Trump administration and possibly the president who are engaged in a cover-up. That's a problem, and we should just allow the Mueller investigation to run its course.
Well, okay. I agree with the last part for sure, but what you said, two statements before, it really fights that conclusion. Proof of Trump surrogates, campaign staffers, whatever you want to call them, conspired with spies? Where is proof of that?
Well, first of all, we've got the meetings that took place, one of which was at Trump Tower, including with Donald Trump's son and his son-in-law and his campaign chairman, who's been charged in an unrelated matter with conspiring against the United States of America. They met with closely affiliated Russian operatives, were promised dirt on a political opponent, Hillary Clinton, and then refused to disclose that meeting or indicate to the FBI that something's taken place here.
But you know that that wouldn't meet the legal definition of conspiracy all by itself. You'd have to show that they were advancing an illegal plan.
Well, there's a whole host of facts that are coming to light that connect the Trump campaign, meeting after meeting after meeting, contact after contact that they failed to disclose, some of which were failed to disclose possibly in violation of the law in connection with filling out security clearance forms. All of a sudden, there was selective amnesia. We know that there seemed to have been a possible triangular relationship between the Trump campaign, WikiLeaks, and the Russian government. Robert Mueller is going to explore that. Let's let the investigation proceed. He can report to the American people what happened. Robert Mueller was widely respected by Republicans and Democrats before he got this appointment. He's a lifetime Republican. And Chris, as you know, this entire criminal investigation on all sides is being led by Republicans. And yet Donald Trump continues to try to undermine it.
And there's one thing for you to work on for the American people. Right now, as I understand it, the mandate to Mueller is that he gives a report to Rosenstein at the AG, not to the American people. So as it stands right now, there's no responsibility for the American people to know what this investigation yields. Hopefully you guys will help with
Agreed.
that. Hakeem Jeffries, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Allison.
Okay, so Chris, a mega merger